Hey bosses, it's Marie from Asian Boss. Did you know that Pakistan recently experienced devastating floods that led to 1/3 of the country to be underwater? It was described as the worst flood in the country's history that killed over 1,300 people and affected 33 million people, leading Pakistan's Prime Minister to declare a state of emergency. Many of the affected areas are still flooded and hard to access, so our Asian Boss team did the next best thing and asked the locals in Karachi, Pakistan's largest city, about how they and the entire country have been impacted by the floods and what their thoughts are on the issue of climate change. For more, let's go to our Asian Boss reporter to find out.
So today we want to get Pakistani people's reactions to the massive floods that led to 1/3 of the country getting flooded. How did you react when you first heard or saw about these floods?
Okay, naturally I was shocked. I have seen floods before in 2010 as well. So the calamity is not really new for us, but again the scale is staggering this time.
Well, in the beginning, we were completely surprised seeing people from our own villages getting out of the house. It was not easy. We were not at ease, and we knew we had to do something about it. So, we belonging to an organization. My father runs a non-governmental organization.
It is somewhat traumatizing कि भाई आपकी आधा मुल्क जो है वो डूबा हुआ है, तो कुछ ना कुछ फ़र्क तो पड़ता ही है. आप अपनी लाइफ में कितना भी इन्वॉल्व हों, लेकिन ऐसी चीज़ जब मुल्क में होती है तो उसका फ़र्क पड़ता है, और इससे हमारे इकनॉमिकली भी ज़ाहिर सी बात है फ़र्क पड़ेगा, बट इवेंचुअली
इस पे देख के और न्यूज़ चैनल्स, टीवी, सोशल मीडिया देख के बहुत दुख होता है कि हमारे वो मज़दूर लेबर तबका जो पाकिस्तान में जितनी हमारी क्रॉप्स हैं, रूट्स हैं, वेजिटेबल्स हैं, उनकी तमाम फसलें इस वक्त तबाह हो चुकी हैं पूरे पाकिस्तान में. 70% ऑफ पाकिस्तान इस वक्त फ्लड से गुजर रहा है.
What does the aftermath of these floods look like right now, and what's the extent of devastation?
Well, I remember reading an article by The Guardian. They said that the damages were around 10 billion US dollars. I saw this one picture which was really, well, heartbreaking for lack of a better word, in which a family of, I don't know, 10 or 20 villagers essentially were taking all their belongings and putting it all up their head, and they were submerged in chest deep water. So that was pretty sad to witness.
Some areas there is no access available. Communications have been cut. There are people who are they're literally now starving because there's no access, and they live a subsistence wage, so it's difficult for them really to survive. So a lot of them are really in trouble.
I think we're looking at malnutrition. Yesterday we went to a few camps and there were pregnant women, and what we are looking right now is that when these kids are going to grow up, they're going to be malnourished. We're seeing diseases like cholera spreading, water-based diseases, malaria, dengue, they're going to spread very widespreadly in Pakistan.
What I've witnessed, I did go into interior Sindh. Right now, people are kind of dealing with getting that base security back, where they don't have houses, they don't have food, they don't have anything. Kind of even those kind of base needs that we have that you take for granted. They've lost everything at this point.
So इन सैलाबों के बाद आपकी ज़ात को या आपके घर वालों को या दोस्त अहबाबों को क्या असर मुरतब हुए हैं आप लोग पे?
मेरे काफ़ी दोस्त हैं जो इंटीरियर सिंध में रहते हैं, पंजाब के इंटीरियर इलाकों में रहते हैं, बलूचिस्तान के उन इलाकों में विलेजेस में रहते हैं, जो इससे बहुत ज़्यादा सख्त मुतासिर हुए हैं, और वो इस वक्त वहाँ से शिफ्ट हो गए हैं दूसरी जगहों पे जहाँ सैलाब का खतरा नहीं है.
Lower class people have basically been more affected as they don't have concrete homes like us. They have wooden homes that can be easily washed away by floods. All the glacier meltdowns have caused the pathways to be blocked, and rations aren't reaching them because vehicles aren't able to get to them.
So was anyone able to predict this flood, or was everybody caught off guard?
I don't think so. Anyone was like हमारे मौसमियात वाले जो हैं उन्होंने तो प्रेडिक्ट किया था कि बारिशें बहुत ज़्यादा होंगी, लेकिन इस चीज़ का अंदाज़ा नहीं था कि इतनी ज़्यादा हो जाएंगी कि सैलाब ही आ जाएगा और इंडस रिवर वगैरह जो है वो overflow हो जाएंगे.
Of course, there was a prediction. We knew that the floods were coming because of the massive amounts of rain we had this year, but because of climate change, there was way more than we expected. There was no way we could predict this much water. Pakistan somehow has the second largest amount of glaciers in the world after, I think, Antarctica. But who would have thought, right? The melting of those glaciers is just out of control.
So, how common are heavy rains that cause floods in Pakistan?
See, this kind of a devastation came in. Last time it came in 2010, right? So that cycle is every 10 years, 8 to 10 years. But the thing is that now that they said, they predict this wind pattern has changed. It's gonna be almost every year, God forbid. What will happen? Because this catastrophic condition, you can see the magnitude of flood is so high. I don't think so. Then we will recover in one year. I don't think so. And these displaced people, I don't think so. They will soon go back to their homes and villages.
So, why do you think the floods are especially really bad this year, or why do you think the wind pattern has changed to have brought about such destructive floods?
Climate change.
ये एक्चुअली जो मेरी ऑब्जर्वेशन है, ये जो ग्रीन हाउस गैसेस और कार्बन एमिशन की वजह से हुई है. इवन दैट के पाकिस्तान इसमें कंट्रीब्यूट नियर अबाउट 1% करता है, लेकिन ये पूरे ग्लोबलिंग जो वेदर है, ग्रीन हाउस इफेक्ट और जो कार्बन गैस है, उसकी एमिशन की वजह से तब्दीली हो रही है.
इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इश्यूज़, ये बहुत ही चीप रीज़न है जो अपने ऊपर से बुराई हटाने का, कि आप क्लाइमेट चेंज को सब कुछ ब्लेम कर दें. हाँ, क्लाइमेट चेंज का एक मेजर रोल है, लेकिन उसको प्रिडिक्ट किया जा सकता है. उसके लिए आपके पास डिविजन्स होते हैं, गवर्नमेंट के इदारे होते हैं ऐसे जो ये चीज़ें प्रिडिक्ट करते हैं. दुनिया में और भी जगह क्लाइमेट चेंज हो रहा है, वहाँ तो ऐसी हालात नहीं हुआ ना, क्योंकि वहाँ का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जो है वो बेहतर था. यहाँ पे किसी को कुछ काम नहीं करना, सो इसलिए वो जो है क्लाइमेट चेंज को ब्लेम कर रहे हैं.
Definitely there was misgovernance and there should have been better provisions made. But no, of course it's climate change. There's no two ways about this. If Pakistan is creating just 1% of global emissions and everywhere else in the world that 99% is affecting us, I think it's clear to see that it's climate change, because the glaciers melting is what's causing the floods. Yes, there was rains, but it's the water is filling up into these rivers and coming down from the north because of climate change. There's no question about it.
As we live in a global village, each and everybody all around the globe is equally responsible for this. As we use fossil fuels, if we do not use that, as we use air conditioners and many things that cause damage to the environment all around us, if we introduce more environment-friendly products, it will be great.
Climate change can be a touchy subject, or even seen by many in the Western world as a political hoax. Do you personally believe that climate change is real?
I think there's enough scientific evidence to support that climate change is happening. So no one can deny climate change per se. I don't think anyone can deny climate change.
Yes, it is real, and I would say that he has done a lot of research on it and he can add to it.
Climate change is definitely real. To all those people who keep saying climate change is not real, it is. You can see the effects everywhere around the world, like these floods over here. And these are just in one region. This is happening all over the world. Floods, earthquakes, hail falling from the sky in the summer. Floods all the time, not just in monsoon seasons.
The heat waves are intense, and we don't usually witness heat waves like it happened this time. It was like 4 or 5 heat waves, one after the other, and it was quite intense.
Yeah, I mean, we can see that climate change is real. Each year the situation gets worse. Glaciers are melting, the weather in Karachi is getting hotter by the day.
So, what do you think is the main cause of climate change? Is it man-made or just a natural phenomena?
It is a natural phenomena, but to a huge extent it's man-made contribution as well. Greenhouse effect, the pollution, factories and all that. So it is a big cause of that.
Main cause of climate change is basically man-made. We have seen these disastrous climate changes over the past, and there wasn't any man back then, but that wasn't this disastrous. It's because over the years since the Industrial Revolution, we have been emitting more carbon dioxide. As of before, there wasn't a lot, but now the atmosphere has become clouded.
In the context of Pakistan, how do you think the population is causing climate change?
we have we have like the sixth largest population of any country in the world. So first of all, we are overpopulated. We have less resources, which mean that we have to use more unconventional methods. In rural areas, I've heard that instead of using natural gas, which in itself isn't really that good, they use logs and woods, so deforestation happens.
We don't have the proper tariffs, or we don't have the proper legal binding if you are polluting an environment, if you are going towards extreme pollution. There are areas in Pakistan filled with water, filled with different kind of diseases, and we're not doing anything about it. This is a huge reason why we are facing climate change.
I don't think Pakistan creates that much. Has that much of an impact globally, because we don't have those massive industries or factories that are causing that kind of pollution. Like I said, Pakistan only causes 1% of the global emissions that kind of result in climate change.
So how do you think climate change will affect you personally, even if you weren't affected by the floods this time?
If I'm not directly damaged by the floods this year, but still, as I see, the inflation will go up, each and everything will go so high that it will not only affect those people who are out there under the grounds or on the grounds, but it will also affect us who are not affected by it directly.
प्राइजेस डबल हो जाएंगे, क्योंकि इस वक्त आपके पाकिस्तान के वो एरियाज़ जहाँ जहाँ फसल्स लगती हैं वो तमाम तबाह हो गई हैं, चाहे वो सिंध के इलाके हों, बलूचिस्तान हो, पंजाब के इलाके हों, जनूब पंजाब साइड हो, वो सब इस वक्त तबाह और बर्बाद हो गए हैं, जिस वजह से हमें बाहर के कंट्रीज से इंपोर्ट करवाना पड़ेगा। और इसके मद्देनज़र रखते हुए यहाँ पर रेट्स बढ़ेंगे पाकिस्तान में, जिसका सामना हर एक शहरी ने करना है और हम कर रहे हैं already.
If I would ever visit my villages and these places in the time of rain, I cannot do that anymore. We cannot visit the areas that were very close to us, people, my friends, family, their houses. It is only not damaging us physically, but also damaging us emotionally.
Well, if the trend keeps growing, eventually Karachi would be flooded, or Karachi would be unbearable to live in. It could be flooded, or it could happen that the temperature rises so much that we wouldn't be able to live here. It wouldn't be a hospitable environment anymore. So personally, I think that would happen if we don't change anything.
तो क्या कर सकता है पाकिस्तान इन फ्लड्स से बचने के लिए अगली बार, अगर कुछ कर भी सकता है?
सबसे पहली बात है कि जो डैम्स हैं वो बनाएं, पानी को सेव करें, और जो हमारा जितना भी ये सिस्टम है,
we can develop storm drains all over the place. Like in Bahria town, what we're seeing is that we don't experience that many floods. It's because we have good storm drains. It's a planned city. What happens in the main city area is it's not planned at all. People are building houses here and there, blocking drains all over the place.
Yes, we need to build good infrastructure.
So assuming climate change is real and that it is man-made, as backed up by the vast majority of the scientific community, how do you think we can combat climate change, or what exactly needs to be done by the governments?
What the government has to do is encourage people to put solar panels and other renewable sources of electricity. The real problem is people would love to switch to renewables, but they just don't have the money, and the government is not supporting them in terms of funds.
I would say that if we make the population of Pakistan more aware of the situation, the devastating situation of climate change, we would be more apt at handling the problem itself. We have a very low literacy rate, so I don't remember exactly what the statistics were, but there was this Canadian professor, Jordan Peterson. He in a lecture told us, the viewers, that literacy rate and climate awareness has a correlation. So if we increase the literacy rate, which in Pakistan is really low, the climate awareness and the subsequent prevention and preventative procedures taken by the people would increase the chances of being better.
Global action needs to be taken. I think people need to realize that it is real. First of all, stop calling it a hoax. I think that's the first thing, is that especially bigger industries, they need to realize it's not a hoax. You're seeing the effects of your behavior on the planet right now. It's not even like it's something that's going to happen in the future. You're seeing it now. There's actual visual representation of your actions.
What do you want to tell those people who don't believe that climate change is real? Do you have any message for them?
I would love to tell them that look around you. You might not think climate change is real because you're not getting affected by them, but just look a little below you and you will see all the people losing their family members and their houses.
I would tell those people to read up on climate change through proper resources, not through those. Don't listen to those people who say the earth is flat and climate change isn't real. Go to proper scientific journals. Just go to Google Scholar. It will provide you a good resource for studying up on it. And just don't take my word for it. Go up and study it.
Well, I would say that it has been my personal experience, and it is an eye-opening situation for all of us. And if you still do not believe that climate change is too surreal, so please, I would invite you all to come visit Pakistan, visit those areas that have been hit very hard. So please come. It's an invitation to the whole world and to the mass facts and figures of world that please come, see, look at it, and then you might believe it.